Look, if I've learned anything over the last 20 years of being a physician, people struggle to get their kids to go to sleep. In this video, I'm talking to you about my 4 patented prospector strategies to help your child go to sleep tonight. Okay, so maybe you're thinking, why prospector, Dr. Noble? Well, why not? They know about gold, they know about shovels, they know about lanterns, and they know about sleep. Step number 1 in the prospector's sleeping plan: make sure there's gold in those hills. Prospectors are efficient. They don't dig holes just to dig holes. They're looking for gold. If you want to help your child consolidate sleep, to go to sleep in a more timely fashion and avoid wanting to die every night at bedtime, you have to start by making sure there's gold in those hills. Do you have a sleep hygiene routine that's reasonable, that will allow you to reap the benefits of what I'm about to tell you next? This video will not help your child go to sleep in a timely manner and go back to sleep in a timely manner if your sleep hygiene routine at bedtime is trash. Bedtime needs to be consistent. It needs to happen the same way at the same time every night. Children thrive on consistency. Their bedroom needs to be dim. It needs to be warm. It needs to be comfy and cozy and devoid of all things that flash and plug in and light up their frontal cortex that sends the message, hey, it's party time. Get that stuff out of the room. If your child does nothing all day, they sit around and do nothing, it's very unlikely they're going to be able to convince their body that they need sleep. Children are not like us. I look forward to going to bed. I'm exhausted at the end of the day. Children would rather stay up and look at a screen than go to sleep. That is very different than you or I, which again underscores the concept that children are not that smart. Consider the 10-3-2-1 rule. No caffeine 10 hours before bed. If I have to tell you that allowing your child to suck on a rock star 2 hours before bed is a bad idea, this video is not for you. 3 hours before bed, shut off the food. Food is comforting, but it is not necessarily sedating. No homework 2 hours before bed. Homework is like work for you and I. If I'm up looking at emails and stressing about tomorrow's day, I can't shut my brain off to go to sleep. Children working on homework and trying to devour new concepts and ideas are activating their brain. They're not calming it. They're taking off from the runway. They're not landing. Lastly, no screens. No screens 1 hour before bed. It goes without saying that TVs and devices do not belong in the bedroom. You do not allow a child access to a device in order to initiate sleep onset, because they won't be able to reinitiate sleep onset without it creating the problem you're likely in right now. Now that you've established the presence of gold by setting up a sleep hygiene routine at bedtime that makes sense, now let's move on to step number 2 in the Prospector's Sleep Guide. Stake your claim. You remember in the movies, the prospectors are running around, I got the deed to this here land, you rascally kids better get out of town. What I mean by staking your claim is setting up boundaries. So many families struggle with sleep onset in their children because there's no effective boundaries between their need to go to sleep and your need to be away from them while they go to sleep. Raise your hand or put some thoughts in the comments if there are things that you would rather be doing than sitting in a room or lying with a child as they go to sleep in their little sleepy, precious sleepy land. You've got dishes to do, you've got a spouse to discuss with, you've got a walk to take, you just want to sit and be left alone and not meet a need for 10 minutes. Sleep onset is not the time for you to be in that room. You need boundaries. In the Prospector Sleeping Guide, there are 2 types of boundaries for you to consider. First is the time boundary, and second is the location boundary. Let's start with time. The time boundary is most effective for the child who will not, under any conditions, stay in their bed or stay in their room. If that is your primary difficulty, the time boundary is for you. Essentially, how the time boundary works is the prospector stakes the claim by setting up a boundary and saying the line stops here. The child is going to go through the routine of sleep. We're going to brush our teeth, we're going to read our book, we're going to rock, we're going to kiss, we're going to sing, we're going to do all the things. And then once the time limit has expired, the child at 9 p.m. or 8:30 or 8 p.m. goes to bed, the prospector stakes the claim, the boundary of independence, and leaves the room. Now you're thinking by watching this, wait a minute, I've done this, and that child's only gonna shoot up right out of the bed, okay, like something out of The Exorcist, and it's gonna be terrifying, and the child's just gonna run around and leave the room, and they're gonna cry, and snot's gonna come out of their face, and they're gonna puke, and it's gonna be this whole thing, and they're just gonna come and get you when you're in the middle of whatever you're doing, and you're like, I've been down this road, Noble, it won't work. Listen to what I'm saying to you. Stake your claim. Don't let people come and take your gold. You think that's a prospectors are like, heck yeah, man, come on in, there's enough for everybody. Nope, there's not enough for everybody. Stake your claim. You put that child in the room, in the bed, you cover them up, you say, good night, I love you, you leave. You shut the door and you wait 5 minutes knowing that they're gonna go in there and they're gonna be nuts. They're walking around, they're screaming, they got snot running down their face. Mommy does it, yeah. They're gonna be doing this, and you've seen this 1,000 times, but here's the difference between before and now is that now you've staked your claim. There's gold, and that gold is coming next, and that's sleep. Your gold in this video is sleep. I want you to get the most tasty, most pure 24-karat gold sleep you've ever had in your entire life, and you've got to stop these kids from stealing it. So you put the kid in their bed, you walk out, you shut the door, you hold the door shut, making sure that their room is safe. I feel bad even having to say this to you, but if there's a giant dresser that they can pull down on themselves, if there's a window that they can open and climb out onto the roof, if the room is full of samurai swords and snakes, these are bad ideas. You want to remove everything from that room that's dangerous. It's a safe, calm, non-stimulating place where your child can process the fact that the prospector has staken their claim and taken back their life. So for 5 minutes, that child wanders around the room and the prospector has staked the claim. You're sitting outside on the floor, you're relaxed, you're chill, you got headphones on, you're not even listening to what's happening. Maybe you're listening to an Audible book, maybe you're watching Netflix on your phone. 5-minute timer goes off on your phone, you take your headphones off, you hear little Johnny Pumplestins still screaming, still crying. Big surprise! The 5-minute mark goes in, you open the door, you walk in, and the child thinks, ah yes, finally. Mother and father have come to lay with me once again. I have won. I have stolen their gold. I have infringed upon the boundaries of their life, and I am once again in charge. I am the nexus. I am the solar plexus. I am the sun and the moon of this family. Or not. You pick the child up. You don't look at the child. You don't comfort the child. You do not offer to rub the back or read the book or to repeat the story. You don't do any of those things. You take that child gently back to bed, lay them down, cover them up, say goodnight, I love you, and you walk out, shut the door, hold it shut, in 5-minute increments, rinse and repeat all night long. Don't get mad at me. Do not get mad at me. Do not throw a beer can. Well, you can, it's your computer, you live your life. But I'm just telling you, people get mad at me. They say, well, Dr. Noble, I've done that and you don't even understand how long he will cry. I do understand. I also am bound by space and time, and I understand that children will scream all night long. In 5-minute increments, the child is going to try and infringe upon the boundaries, the stake that you have claimed to harvest, the goal that you've worked so hard for, and that is time alone, that is rest, that is connection with your spouse or your loved one or with yourself. And you are not going to let this child steal it from you. So in 5-minute increments, you open the door, you take the child, you put him back in bed, you don't look at him, you don't give him any extra attention, you don't repeat any of the bedtime routines, you put them in bed, good night, I love you, leave. This tells the child that yes, I'm present. No, you're not alone. I am calm, I am cool, I am collected, I'm not overwhelmed by you, but I am not, not going to allow you to steal my gold. Rinse and repeat. Every 5 minutes, all night long. But eventually, they will shut down. They will fall over on the floor. You walk in, you pick them up, you throw them in bed, and you walk out. That is what setting a boundary or staking your claim based on time looks like. Maybe you're going back into that room in 5-minute increments the first few nights you do this, but as the process continues, it becomes 10 minutes, per intervention, 15 minutes per intervention, and you just keep stretching it out until the child gets the hint that the stake has been claimed and the parent is no longer available. There is another way to think about boundaries, not based on time, but based on location. This strategy works really well when you need to stake a claim with a child who will stay in their room, but they just want to know where you are in relation to them. So this is a classic example. The child won't go to sleep unless the parent is sitting next to them or lying next to them. Sleep onset is based on proximity. So setting a boundary based on distance works on stretching out this paradigm. It begins with you sitting by the bed for a night. Then it goes to you sitting in a chair by the door. Then it goes to you sitting in a chair outside the door. Then it goes to you sitting in a chair 2 counties away. You slowly start to delineate the boundary based on your location. Step number 3 in the Prospector's Guide to Fixing Your Child's Sleep Difficulties is when we dig for gold. Step 3 happens after the child has passed out. When you lie down, it's when you begin to actually harvest the precious ore of sleep that you are losing in your life. But there's a big but here. You don't get to go to your bed. Not yet. You have to set up a prospector's camp outside of the bedroom, because even though you've won round 1, there's another round coming. As you know, people wake up every hour or 2 all night long. You roll over and go back to bed. Your child does not know how to reinitiate sleep without the fight that just occurred. So what does that mean? Where should they find you when round 2 begins? They should find you harvesting the precious ore of sleep, but not in your bed, not yet. You set up a prospector's camp right outside their room. You roll out a mat, you set down your lantern, you take off your hat, you get out a harmonica, okay? You play some old cowboy tunes, and then you go to sleep knowing that they're gonna get up in 2 hours and crack that door and look through the little eyeball, through the little door, and they're gonna say, "Where's my mommy and my daddy?" They think, "Oh, that was weird that we did it that way the first time. You did these boundaries, big deal. Now I'm gonna go and sneak in your bed and it's gonna be stinking fantastic." Nope, because they find a prospector sleeping on the floor outside their room, ready for this exact scenario. Rinse and repeat. Back in bed, clock goes to 5 minutes, over and over and over again until the child falls over again. And then you go back out and you think, "Oh, now I get to go to my bed." Nope, because the prospector plays to win, digs to find the treasure. You lie back down. You do this all night long for 1, 2, maybe 3 nights in a row before your child gets the hint that there's a prospector outside that door who is essentially a sociopath, a crazy person who will do anything it takes to keep me safe in my room so that I can get the rest that I need as a child and that they can get the gold that they've worked so hard for. Eventually, after a few days of doing this, rinse and repeat, you get to go to bed in your bed knowing that that child is not going to get up. They're not going to get up. That's step 3. Now, there is a 4th step. Some kids will find a way to push through even this scenario, and they will attempt to break the will of the prospector, but they got another thing coming. Step 4, you ditch the shovel and you bring in the backhoe. What you do in this situation is you do the first 3 steps, everything we've just discussed. You eliminate their ability to do this all night long. So 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m. bedtime, nope. They're not happening for you because you're playing to win. You're digging with the backhoe. They go to bed at 1 o'clock. They go to bed at 2 o'clock. They go to bed at 11 o'clock. And you wake them up at 6 a.m. You take their sleep and you make it real tight. You do that for 2 or 3 days. 2 or 3 days. You run that child ragged. You gas them, right? You take the amount of time that you are going to allow them to consolidate sleep, and you don't allow them to sprinkle it along their day or their evening. You don't allow them to sprinkle along. You give them a very concise, very specific time frame when you will allow them to sleep, and you do that. You keep them awake. You let them jump on a trampoline. Let them spin in a circle. I don't really care what you do as long as they're awake and they're safe until they get to the spot where they're normally going to be tired. And then you go an hour past that spot and you spike the ball. You dig with the backhoe. You get them to the place where when they go to sleep, there's no 5-minute increments. There's no screaming and wandering. They hit that bed. It's like they are unconscious the minute they lie in a supine position. You set up your prospector camp, okay? You dig with the backhoe, assuming that they could get up, and you're ready if they do, and then you set a wake time. You wake them up at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m., and they march all day long, and now you're thinking, oh, I get it. So then the next night they'll be really tired and go to bed at 7 o'clock and I win. Wrong-o, because we brought in a backhoe for a reason. We are gonna get as much gold as possible. They go to bed at 11 o'clock again, or 12, or 1 o'clock in the morning. You wake them up at 6. Oh, but Noble, they'll fall asleep in the car. You take out a water bottle. You put on 90s country music, you roll down the windows, and someone takes that water bottle and you squirt them in the face. You squirt them in the face. They wake up. Okay, there's no getting a cat nap in the car on the way home. There's no sleeping. There's no sleeping at the dinner table. There's no sleeping when you're playing with your Legos in your room. Oh no, because we are going to win. Prospectors are not in the business of losing. This is an extreme example of bedtime fading. Now let's say even bedtime fading doesn't work for the child or doesn't work for you. Then you can do another strategy which is called chronotherapy, which essentially means that the child will sleep from 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. let's say. So then you'll take that chunk of time and you'll move it from 2 to 7, and then 3 to 8, and then 4 to 9, and then 5 to 10. And you'll slowly move that chunk of time that they will consolidate sleep all the way through the day back into the evening, landing it in the spot that is best for the child and best for you. That is the 4-step patented prospector guide to sleep onset for your child. Maybe you're watching this and you're thinking, that's great for some people, but we've been through these steps. I've been a prospector for a long time. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Maybe we need to augment these strategies with a medication. Are there medications for sleep? Are sleep medications safe for children? That, my friends, is the next video.